Hi, and welcome to the Adored Woman podcast. I'm your host, Naomie Thompson. I'm excited for this episode because this is a topic I have not heard spoken about out there. I've spoken about it before on YouTube, and I really wanted to share it with you here on the Adored Woman podcast. And this is about hearing a man's no. Have you ever been in a situation where a man has said no to you? We all have. But instead of hearing it, you've gone into overdrive trying to change his mind. Maybe you've tried reasoning with him, convincing him, explaining again why you're right and why he should just come around. And maybe sometimes it's worked, on the surface at least, but something still felt off. Like you're dragging him to the situation, to the event, to the decision, the life choice that you're making. Today, I want to talk about one of the most underrated skills in relationships, and honestly, one of the most powerful things you can do for yourself. And that is simply this: hearing his no. I received an email from a woman a while back that took my attention because I know so many of you will recognize yourself in it. She wrote to me to tell me that her husband had had an affair. They'd been trying to work through it together, and she'd reached a point where they really needed professional help. And she asked him to go to couples counselling, and he said no. So she asked again and again. He'd occasionally say maybe or okay, yeah, we'll see. It was just enough to keep her hoping, but when it actually came to it, she was showing up to those sessions alone. Now, I want to be really clear here. This woman wasn't doing anything wrong by asking him and then asking him again. Like, she wanted her marriage and she wanted to fight for it, and that takes courage. But what I want to ask, and what I'd ask any woman in that position, is this: what are you ignoring? What have you been ignoring? Because he told her, not with big dramatic announcements, but he told her with his actions, his reluctance, his absence in that counselling room. He said no. And here's the thing about a man's no: it doesn't always come with the word itself. Sometimes it's clear. He says no. I don't want to do that. Fine, at least you know where you stand. But more often, his no comes in other ways. It comes in what he doesn't do. It comes in what he keeps avoiding, what he half-heartedly agrees to and then quietly backs out of. It comes in the conversation where he mentions almost in passing that he's not really bothered about getting married again, while still seeing you every week, sleeping with you and taking you out. And I want to share something personal here because I think it matters. After my husband's affair, I was very clear. I told him exactly what I needed for us to move forward. A monogamous relationship built on honesty and fidelity. I didn't leave it unsaid. I didn't hint at it. I said it out loud, and he agreed. But his no didn't come with words. It came with his actions, his secretive actions, more betrayal. And for a while, I did not want to hear it, because hearing it meant facing something I wasn't ready to face. And we've got to have some compassion with ourselves about that. We're not all at every point ready to face the reality. But his behavior was telling me everything. He was saying no to the relationship I'd asked for, no to honesty, no to us, or the version of us that I believed was possible and that I really wanted. And that is one of the hardest no's to hear, when someone says yes with their mouth, but no with everything else. So when I talk about what have you been ignoring, I'm not asking it from a place of judgment. I'm asking from a place of having been there myself. Sometimes we know, we just aren't ready to let ourselves know that we know. We're not ready to face it. And this is where women get stuck, because on paper, he's there. He's present. He's showing up in some way. So we tell ourselves, well, he'll come around. Once he really falls for me, he'll realize that marriage isn't so bad. Once I show him what we could have, then he'll commit. once I convince him. But what if he's already telling you everything you need to know? Now, I know there can be confusing messages out there. People will say, don't believe a man's words, believe his actions. Then some people might say, believe his words, not his actions. And then some people might say, well, his words and actions need to line up. So they're all right in many ways. But what I know from experience is that if a man is saying no to the relationship you want, like verbally no, I don't want to get married again, but he's showing up, he's taking you out, he's sleeping with you, all of the things, then you need to hear his no. He's saying yes to whatever you're giving him and whatever you've got at the moment, but he's said a clear no to marriage. And if a man says, yes, I really want that relationship, I really want a faithful relationship, I really want commitment, but his actions are just not giving you that and he's being non-committal, then believe his actions. And then what will happen is when you meet someone who really wants what you want, he really wants it with you, it feels good for both of you, then his actions and his words will both line up. So what I'd love for you to ask yourself right now is there something you've been ignoring? A no that has been sitting right in front of you that you have been working very hard not to see. So we don't hear his no for a few reasons, and none of them make you feel weak or foolish. They make you human. And the first is hope. You know, we are wired for hope. We want to believe in the possibility of what this relationship could be. And that's not a bad thing until it starts drowning out the truth of what actually is. I've always been hopeful, and that's why often I stayed in relationships far longer than I should have, because I always believed in the people we were and hoped that it could work out. The second is fear. If I hear his no, what does that mean for me, for us, for everything I've invested, for the future that I am living into, the future that I already have imagined for us? Because hearing the no can feel like the end of all of that and the end of hope. And we don't want to, inside, we don't want to do that. We want to keep hope. So we keep ourselves busy convincing, persuading, explaining, hoping, because as long as we're doing that, we don't have to face it. We don't have to face that fear. And the third, and this is the one I really want you to sit with, is control. When we're constantly trying to convince a man or cajole him, coax him, give him reasons why he should be a yes, we're trying to control the outcome. And I get it, I really do. It comes from a place of love and longing. But a man who feels controlled, even lovingly, is a man who cannot show up freely. A man needs the space to make his own decision. Even if we think that decision is wrong, even if we know we're right, even if we know that there's a great potential between you and it could really work out. That knowing, that insistence we're right is its own form of control, and it will push him away further. So what actually happens when you stop fighting the no and just receive it? So let me give you an example. Say your sister's invited you both for Sunday lunch, and it really matters to you to go there. And one week he says he doesn't want to come. Now, your old response would be to convince him. Look, we always go together. My sister will wonder where you are. Come on, it'll be fun. And maybe he'll give in. Maybe he comes. But is he really there? Or is he physically present and emotionally somewhere else entirely because he feels dragged there? So your new response would be, I feel really sad about that. I wish you were coming, but I hear you. And then you go and you enjoy your lunch and you come home. And, you know, one of a few things will happen. Either he's missed you, he's genuinely missed you, and next week when you're invited, or the week after, he actually wants to come. Or You come home and he's had a great time doing whatever it was he was doing, taking time out. You've had some great time with your sister, and then you come together. Or you come home and you notice something in yourself, like a quiet voice that actually says, actually, he never really wants to do things with me. He never comes to the weddings. He doesn't come to the events. He's always off doing his own thing at the weekend. What am I ignoring about what I actually want? Because here's what I've seen time and time again. When a woman truly hears his no, she finds her own. And this is the part I think is the most powerful and the most overlooked. So the woman who wrote to me about the counseling, she eventually heard his no, like really heard it. And when she did, something shifted. Because in hearing his no, she got very clear on her own. Her no said, I will not stay in a relationship with someone who won't communicate with me. I will not stay with someone who isn't willing to feel some discomfort for the sake of us. And I will not keep going to that counseling room alone. And when she got clear on her own no, it became really easy to leave. Not painless, but clear. Because she finally knew what she was saying yes to. She was saying yes to herself, to her standards, to the relationship she deserves, to her happiness. And that's the gift inside his no. It hands you back yourself. So here's what I want to leave you with today. If there's a man in your life, whether you're dating him, in a relationship with him, or even navigating co-parenting situation with an ex, or even looking back at a past relationship and asking yourself these questions, I want you to honestly ask yourself, what has he been saying no to? And more importantly, what have I been ignoring? And by ignoring him, what am I saying no to? Because we're all saying no. When we say no to one thing, we're saying yes to another. When I say yes to something, I'm saying no to something else. So when I say yes to a relationship where I don't feel fully loved and adored, I'm saying no to being open to a relationship where I am loved and adored. So this isn't about punishing yourself, and it doesn't always mean the end of a relationship. This is just opening up your self-awareness and conversation with him. So I don't want you to beat yourself up or catastrophize, but just get honest, because the most loving thing you can do for him and for yourself is to stop fighting the truth of what is in front of you. And when you hear his no, you stop wasting energy. You stop the cycle of convincing and cajoling that's exhausting and pushing him away. And you create space either for him to step up freely because he really wants to, not because you've worn him down, or for you to step back and ask yourself what you actually want. His no is information, and you're a woman who deserves to have that information and use it. It has been great having you with me on the Adored Woman podcast. And also, I would love to hear what landed for you in this episode. So please do leave your comments in the comments section. I read them all and I will respond to them all. And if the time feels right for you, where you really want someone by your side, I do take on one-to-one clients, and I would be very happy to give you a free call to talk about how coaching will work for you. If you want to look at my coaching page and see how that will work, I will also link that in the show notes. And I also want to finally say is I believe in you. I admire you for being here, learning and growing, raising your self-awareness. This is exactly what I did. There is so much help out there, and I'm so glad you're here. And I 100% believe in you. There were times I was close to feeling hopeless, but always kept the hope and always kept the belief in myself that I would finally have the kind of relationship I really wanted. And the secret is that I felt that before I was in this relationship. I felt worthy and adored and lovable and all of those, and strong and confident before I found this beautiful relationship. The relationship comes when who we are being shifts. Don't have to be perfect. I'm certainly not perfect. You don't have to have it all worked out. But every time you listen to this information, you are moving one step forward. And I believe in you, and I love you, and I will see you in the next episode.